Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is R.S. Raghu bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attends the G7 Finance Ministers meet in Japan, addresses a seminar on economic policies and welfare. Ruling BJP sweeps local body elections in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Opposition Congress wins southern Indian state Karnataka assembly polls. Turkey gears up for presidential elections on Sunday. Erdogan and Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu are the key opponents. India's exports of agricultural and allied products cross 4 lakh crore rupees mark. Indian-American Geeta Rao Gupta confirmed as the ambassador for women's issues in U.S. State Department. Cyclonic storm Mocha hits Bangladesh on Saturday. Indian shooter Rhythm Sangwan qualifies ISSF World Cup in Baku with highest score. And in IPL, Lucknow Super Giants defeat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets. The G7 finance ministers and central bank governors met in Niigata, Japan, joined by the heads of International Monetary Fund, World Bank Group, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and Financial Stability Board. The meeting took place from 11th to 13th of May. During the meeting, many issues of global interest were discussed, including the Russia-Ukraine war and debt vulnerabilities in developing countries. Other issues included strengthening global economic resilience through climate action, global health architecture, economic security, as well as financial digitalization and pursuing welfare enhancement by upgrading economic policies. The group showed renewed commitment and enthusiasm towards free, fair and rules-based multilateral system as well as engagement with international partners through extensive dialogues to advance international cooperation and prosperity for all parties engaged. The discussions held with Brazil, Comoros, India, Indonesia, the Republic of Korea and Singapore were given due importance in respective issues. G7 members and finance ministers of these countries exchanged views on recent global economic developments and major challenges to foster robust and sustainable growth and committed to jointly tackle a range of global economic challenges, fight poverty, and achieve strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive global growth. It is believed that this meeting will form the baseline for upcoming meeting to be held at Hiroshima from May 19th to 21st. Other meetings of G7 under that are simultaneously taking place or are scheduled recently are G7 Science and Technology Ministers meeting in Sendai, May 12th to 14th, 2023, G7 Education Ministers meeting in Toyama and Kanazawa, May 12th to 15th, 2023, and G7 Nagasaki Health Ministers meeting May 13th to 14th, 2023. Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has stressed on the need for collaborative efforts to ensure global health security. Dr. Mandavia said this while addressing the G7 Health Ministerial meeting on global health architecture in Nagasaki, Japan on Saturday. He cautioned against fragmented and siloed efforts in addressing the challenges faced by the world. Dr. Mandavia noted that while multiple global efforts are underway, there is a need to ensure the convergence of ongoing initiatives. The minister also emphasized the role of digital solutions and the use of technology in ensuring continuity of care amidst multiple challenges posed by the pandemic. Bangladesh Disaster Management Minister of State Dr. Inamur Rahman has said that a very severe cyclonic storm Mocha is not turning into a super cyclone as the wind speed has decreased. Briefing the media about preparations to tackle the cyclone in Dhaka on Saturday, Inamur Rahman said that the Cox's Bazar's maritime port has been asked to keep hoisting extreme danger signal number 10. Distress signal number 8 will be hoisted at Chattogram port, said the minister. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that Bangladesh is fully prepared to deal with the cyclone Mocha. The cyclone is likely to make a landfall near Cox's Bazar on Sunday between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Cox's Bazar airport is closed from morning Saturday till Sunday evening. The government of Bangladesh has launched an intensified evacuation campaign targeting 500,000 people to be moved to safety from the southeastern coastal areas of Bangladesh near Cox's Bazar as the very severe cyclonic storm Mocha is nearing the landfall Sunday morning. Government has set up more than 1,600 cyclone shelters and 284 medical teams have been kept ready to attend to any medical emergency during the cyclone. Army, Navy and Coast Guard have been alerted to deal with any situation arising due to the cyclone. More than 8,500 volunteers of Red Cross and others have been working to ask people to move from risky areas to cyclone shelters. The Indian Meteorological Department IMD on Saturday said that extremely severe cyclonic storm Mocha lying over east central Bay of Bengal is very likely to move north-northeastwards and cross southeast Bangladesh and North Myanmar coast. Cyclonic storm may cause light to heavy rainfall at some places in Andaman and Nicobar Islands and northeastern region. And now let's have a look at G20 events recently.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
G20 India updates. In the run-up to G20 summit in New Delhi in September this year, 125 meetings are scheduled to be held in the next 4 months. So far, 106 meetings under various engagement groups, Sherpa tracks and ministerial meetings have taken place ever since India assumed the G20 presidency in December 2022. Around 10 meetings of G20 are planned for this month. Prominent among them include the Third Tourism Working Group meeting in Srinagar. Let us take a look at the upcoming G20 events in May-June. The third meeting of G20 Development Working Group DWG was convened from 8th to 11th of May 2023 in Goa. Over 80 delegates from G20 members, 9 invitee countries and various international and regional organizations attended the meeting. The formal DWG meeting was preceded by a side event on women-led development on 8th May. The participants included several high-profile experts and speakers from the international organizations, academia, think tanks and civil society. They discussed at length issues ranging from women and the economy in emerging sectors, women's leadership in the uniformed services, and how women can act as agents of change in climate resilience and food systems. Detailed discussions were held on various development priorities proposed by India, which are likely to form the baseline for the development ministerial meeting in June. These include the deliberations on a G20 action plan to accelerate progress on the Sustainable Development Goals and the G20 high-level principles on lifestyle for environment. It will provide the necessary political thrust and momentum to the efforts on achieving the 2030 agenda, digital principles and capacity building for data for development. In addition, green transitions that are globally just, women-led development, and enhancing international coordination and partnerships came up for discussion in earlier meetings. The participating nations appreciated India's efforts in creating political momentum for helping the developing countries at a time when the world is facing multiple crises. Among the upcoming events, the third meeting of the Tourism Working Group in Srinagar on May 22 to 24th is highly awaited. It will be followed up by the Youth 20 consultation meeting next week. Next month, the fourth meeting of the Development Working Group series will be held in New Delhi from 6th to 9th June. After this round, Varanasi will host the Development Ministers meeting from 11th to 13th of June. These meetings will form the basis of the suggestions and actions to be looked into by the global leaders for the larger public good under India's G20 presidency.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
Ruling for 2 decades, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is all in for the presidential elections scheduled for the upcoming Sunday on a war footing. His main rival in the run-up is Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who has garnered support from allies from across the political spectrum who have come together as never before. His focus area is peace and democracy. On the other hand, Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that he had kept Turkey standing tall despite many challenges, including the economy with its rampant inflation and February's catastrophic double earthquakes. Both these issues dominate the election campaign, which is being held for both the presidency and parliament. With each passing day, the elections have become more tense and focused as out of the four candidates, Muharrem İnce withdrew on the issues of illegitimate videos doing rounds in social media. Although Erdogan's party commands strong support, he relies on the backing of the nationalist MHP and other smaller groups in his People's Alliance. His greatest support is mainly from conservative or nationalist Turks, and he is strongly opposing of the West as well as the LGBT community. These political alliances have become essential under Turkey's political system, as a party needs 7% of the national vote to get into the parliament or be a part of an alliance that does. Whoever wins the presidency will need to have sufficient support in parliament to back their plans. More than 64 million people are expected to vote at home and abroad on Sunday. To win outright, a candidate will have to secure more than half the vote. If no candidate gets at least 50% plus one vote in the first round, the presidential election will go to a second round on 28th of May between the two who received the most votes. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. As a prelude to the upcoming Young Entrepreneurs Alliance YEA meet scheduled to take place next month, a delegation led by CII and Young India recently visited Riyadh, Saudi Arabia from May 9th to 12th as part of engagements under the ongoing Indian G20 presidency. The delegation was hosted by Prince Fahad bin Mansour bin Nasir bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, President of the Saudi G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance YEA, and it also engaged with prominent Saudi government authorities including Public Investment Fund PIF, Saudi Arabian Oil Group Aramco, Saudi Basic Industries Corporation SABIC, and Ministries of Investment and Communication and IT. Both sides discussed avenues to connect the fast-growing entrepreneurial and startup sectors of both nations. India, recognized as an IT hub of the world, has developed more than 100 unicorns and 80,000 startups in the last few years, while Saudi Arabia has also witnessed transformational changes with rapid digitization and fast-emerging IT industries. Ambassador of India to Saudi Arabia, Dr. Suhail Ajaz Khan, had an interactive discussion with the delegates and shared his views about the growing India-Saudi bilateral ties, highlighting the flourishing bilateral economic ties. Prince Fahad Al Saud also hosted a gala dinner for the delegation. Senior military commanders from Quad member countries, including India's Chief of Defence Staff CDS General Anil Chauhan, will meet in Sunnylands in California to attend a high-profile meeting on Indo-Pacific security from the 15th to 17th of May, in a clear indication that the grouping is now taking security cooperation to the next level before the Quad Summit in Sydney on the 24th of May. Among other invitees to the meeting hosted by Admiral John C. Aquilino, Commander, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, are General Yoshihide Yoshida, Chief of Staff, Joint Staff, Japanese Self-Defense Forces, and General Angus Campbell, Chief of the Defense Force, Australia. A Vice Admiral rank representative of the UK Chief of Defence Staff is also likely to attend. This is General Chauhan's first visit to the US. Quad Malabar naval exercises are scheduled off the coast of Sydney in August this year, and the apex meeting of military commanders of the grouping next week is seen as both a game changer. And now, in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on highlights of Finance Minister's visit to Japan.
The Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was on an official 2-day visit to Niigata, Japan, to attend the G7 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting from the 11th to the 13th of May 2023. India was an invitee to the G7 meet, as it has been to a number of meetings in recent years. Addressing the G7 seminar on economic policies and welfare, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman underlined the dilemmas faced by emerging markets and developing economies between climate security and growth as they manage overlapping crises and socio-economic transformation. The Finance Minister highlighted how the technology improved access for the poor to markets and basic services, and how the access to digital connectivity had empowered people. She also stressed on the need to measure empowerment beyond GDP indicators. She said India's focus on technology, digital public infrastructure and green hydrogen as a foundation for sustainable and inclusive growth. Addressing the first session of G7 Finance Ministers meeting, the Finance Ministers stressed on the importance of sustainable and inclusive growth for emerging economies and emphasized on the urgent need to improve efficiency of G20 common framework, strengthening the trust and cooperation among stakeholders for timely debt treatment for vulnerable nations. Highlighting the resilience of emerging markets and developing economies and their unique development challenges, she said India's strong recovery was a bright spot for the global growth outlook and stressed on the need to strengthen multilateral development banks to address cross-border challenges. The Finance Minister also delivered a special address at the event on rising investment opportunities, Destination India, to investors and business leaders of Japan, showcasing the immense potential of India's investment landscape. The Minister underlined the government's priority to incentivize and facilitate investments in India through production-linked incentive PLI schemes, which are being expanded beyond the initial 14 sectors to include semiconductors and solar components. Japanese investors were invited to invest in India as the country has relaxed various restrictions to ensure greater ease of doing business and draw more investments. Highlighting India's commitment to greening its economy and the goals set under the nationally determined contributions, especially with regard to renewable energy, the Finance Minister informed the business leaders about the government's focus on skilling people in the fast-developing area of artificial intelligence so that the young population can use it towards innovative solutions for all. Sitharaman also met with International Monetary Fund Managing Director K. Georgieva and her Brazilian counterpart Haddad Fernando on the sidelines of the meet, and discussed issues relating to infrastructure, strengthening multilateral development banks, debt vulnerabilities and digital public infrastructure.
Indian-American Geeta Rao Gupta has been conferred by the U.S. Senate as the Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issues in the State Department. The department in a tweet Friday said it is looking forward to her efforts to promote women's and girls' rights through U.S. foreign policy. Gupta was confirmed by the U.S. Senate by 51 to 47 votes. In a message, Ms. Gupta said there are many inequities and indignities that women suffer around the world which hold them back from participating fully in the economy. Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said that India's exports of agricultural and allied products have crossed 4 lakh crore rupees. He said over the years, India has performed well in the agriculture sector and has also contributed to global food security with food grain production. Mr. Tomar said this while chairing the 8th meeting of Agriculture Ministers of Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO member countries through video conferencing on Friday. Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, China and Pakistan also participated in the meeting. Under the chairmanship of India, SCO member countries adopted the Smart Agriculture Project. In Uttarakhand, the 4-day Sri Anna Mahotsav Millets Festival has begun in Dehradun from Saturday. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami inaugurated Sri Anna Mahotsav at Hathi Bharkala. Our correspondent reports that thousands of farmers from across the state are participating in the 4-day event.
While addressing the gathering on the occasion of Shri Ann Mahotsav, the Chief Minister said that such events would increase the cultivation of chorus grains. The Chief Minister said that Shri Ann is becoming the medium of all-round development in India, and now every citizen of the country is also getting associated with it. More than 100 stalls of chorus grains have been set up in the festival. On this occasion, Uttar Pradesh Agriculture Minister Surya Pratap Shahi and many other dignitaries also participated in the program. It may be recalled that along with the organic farming in the state, the implementation of the National Natural Agriculture Mission scheme is being started in 11 districts of the state from this year itself. For this, the Government of India has also approved the operation of an agriculture mission program of about 796 lakhs on 6,400 hectares of land.
Power and New Renewable Energy Minister R.K. Singh on Saturday chaired a meeting on Green Energy Open Access Rules in New Delhi. Green Energy Open Access Rules are a major step towards cutting emissions by 45% in line with the country's nationally determined contributions target for 2030. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Singh called upon the industry leaders to set targets for green energy and take advantage of the provisions of Green Energy Open Access Rules to get green power at reasonable rates. He said this will contribute to a greener and more sustainable environment. Green Energy Open Access Rules are notified for promoting the generation, purchase and consumption of green energy, including the energy from waste to energy plants. Under the rules, consumers are entitled to demand supply of green power from power distribution companies. These companies would be obligated to procure and supply green power to eligible consumers. In a joint operation by the Indian Navy and the Narcotics Control Bureau, approximately 2,500 kilograms of methamphetamine was seized from a sea-going vessel off Kerala coast. The seizure, part of Operation Samudragupta, is worth over 15,000 crore rupees. The seizure is said to be the largest of its kind by an Indian agency in terms of monetary value. Addressing media persons in Kochi this evening, the Deputy Director General's Operation NCB Sanjay Kumar said a suspected Pakistani national has been detained in this connection. The consignment is believed to have originated from the Death Crescent region comprising Pakistan, Afghanistan and Iran. The ruling Bharatiya Janata Party clinched a landslide victory in urban local body elections in Uttar Pradesh. The party has swept all the 17 mayor seats in the state. Congress has won a thumping majority in the Karnataka Assembly elections. As per the latest data from Election Commission of India, Congress has won 132 seats out of a total of 224 Assembly seats and is leading in 4 constituencies so far. BJP has bagged 63 seats and is leading in 2. JDS has won 19 seats while others have won 4 seats. Among the prominent candidates who have emerged victorious on Saturday include Pradesh Congress Committee Chief D.K. Shivakumar. He has won Kanakpura by a whopping margin of 1,22,392 votes. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, an infiltration bid by terrorists across the line of control in the Uri sector of Baramulla district was foiled by the Indian Army during the early morning hours on Saturday. According to Defence spokesperson Srinagar, a group of armed terrorists, while attempting to cross the line of control, were engaged in an exchange of fire with the alert troops, resulting in a failed attempt to intrude into Kashmir Valley. A quadcopter flown by the Pakistan Army to aid the terrorists was also spotted across the line of control and was fired at, causing it to withdraw. This desperate action by the terrorists, duly abetted by Pakistan Army, is yet another failed attempt to disrupt the G20 summit and create disturbance in the valley. Meanwhile, extensive search operations are underway in the densely forested area. Further details are awaited. Scientists have produced an updated map of all human DNA which could help to transform medical research. The latest version, called the Pangenome, is made up of data from 47 people from Africa, Asia, the America and Europe. It is hoped it will lead to new drugs and treatments that work for a much wider range of people. The Pangenome consists of 47 separate DNA maps of the people from different ancestries, which can also be combined and compared with new software tools to find important genetic differences. A pangenome that better reflects the diversity of the human population will enable scientists to better understand how genetic variation influences health and disease and moves us to a future in which genomic medicine benefits everyone. The aim is to develop more effective treatments for more people. The previous human genome was largely completed in 2003. It is a map of the basic chemical building blocks that make up human DNA. Researchers used it to identify genes involved in diseases so as to develop better treatments. It has led to improved cancer therapies and the development of tests to predict the onset of inherited conditions such as Huntington's disease. But this is just the start of an ambitious program to better represent the diversity of the world's population. The initial aim is to increase the number to 350. After the scientists plan to increase numbers and diversity further by working with organizations from other countries in what they hope will become phase 2 of the Human Genome Project. Indian shooter Ridham Sangwan registered the highest ever score in women's 25-meter pistol event when she recorded 595 in the qualification round at the ISSF World Cup in Baku on Saturday. Sangwan bettered the previous best of 594 set by Bulgaria's Diana Yergova in 1994. China's Luna Tao and Germany's Doreen Wenkamp has also equaled the tally in 2002 and 2023 respectively. The 19-year-old, however, finished 8th in the final with an overall score of 10. Sangwan missed all 5 shots in the first series and was always playing catch-up. Earlier in the competition, Sangwan had secured a bronze medal in the 10-meter air pistol event. In IPL cricket, Lucknow Super Giants defeated Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets. Chasing a target of 183 runs, Lucknow Super Giants achieved the target in 19.2 overs. Earlier opting to bat, Sunrisers Hyderabad made 182 for 6 in stipulated 20 overs. Another match of the day between Delhi Capitals and Punjab Kings is underway at Arun Jaitley Stadium in New Delhi. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post writes Zelensky to meet Pope Francis at Vatican for first time during Ukraine war. The Guardian reports South Africa summons US ambassador over his claims it is arming Russia. The Japan Times reports Europe needs stronger line on China ties, ministers urge. The Wall Street Journal reports migrants wait along southern border as new rules go into effect. The Financial Times reports Israel and militants exchange rocket salvos in worst bout of fighting in a year. South China Morning Post says South Africa, US look to ease strain after roar over Russia weapons, and the Globe and Mail writes cocoa farmers in Africa and Latin America bear the cost of keeping chocolate cheap. And now, before we end, a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attends the G7 Finance Ministers meet in Japan, addresses a seminar on economic policies and welfare. Ruling BJP sweeps local body elections in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Opposition Congress wins southern Indian state Karnataka Assembly polls. Turkey gears up for presidential elections on Sunday. Erdogan and Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu are the key opponents. India's exports of agricultural and allied products cross 4 lakh crore rupees mark. Indian-American Geeta Rao Gupta confirmed as the ambassador for women's issues in US State Department. Cyclonic storm Mocha hits Bangladesh on Saturday. Indian shooter Ridham Sangwan qualifies ISSF World Cup in Baku with the highest score. And in IPL, Lucknow Super Giants defeat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 7 wickets. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan Vaishnav Jan by artists from UAE.
Vaishnav Jan to zene kahiye je pide parai jane re par dukhe upkar kare toye man apna Vaishnav Jan to ने कहिए जे दीजे पराई जाने रे सकल लोक मान सबने वंदे निंदा न करे.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.